Hey, what's up? This is the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders, and you're listening to the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show, coming at you live right now on August 28th, 2012 at the stroke of 11 o'clock. Thank you for checking us out right now live on blogtalkradio.com and at our sister website at InfinityOneProductions.com. And if you're checking us out right now through that free Stitcher app, mad kudos for you. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Hopefully you guys were able to do something fun before going back to work. I know some of you are already looking for the weekend already. It was kind of fast for most of us. But overall, hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Tonight, we're going to be covering the fallout from this past Monday night's Raw. And we'll also be covering the very latest in WWE wrestling-related news, get you guys caught up on what you might have missed or what's got you talking. We definitely want to hear from you guys. And, you know, we got our chat room that's loaded up right now. Feel free to jump on in there. It's at blogtalkradio.com/THERCWRSHOW. And if you happen to be on Twitter, guess what? You can interact with us through Twitter as well. Hit us up throughout the course of the night on Twitter. We're at InfinityOneProd. While you're at it, take the time to hit us up on Facebook. We're at Facebook. That's right. Hit us up, Infinity One Productions on Facebook. So, definitely want to talk about what had happened on this past Monday night's Raw. We were on a 72-hour break, basically, and I just could not wait to do tonight's show because I was just like a little kid just bouncing up and down with his hands under his seat at a bench, and I was just, ooh, because I was just seeing so much stuff on last night's Raw that just really kind of had me going a little bit, but then on the other side, it was just, oh, man, I can't wait just to do the show and definitely hear what some of you all had thought of tonight's or Monday night's episode. For those of you that might have missed it, don't worry. You know how we do it over here. We definitely get you caught up, as always. But, you know, we're going to try to switch things up just a little bit. We're going to try to mention the key highlights that had happened on this past Monday night's Raw, as there really wasn't too much of anything that was significantly important in between, but we know how some of you are. Some of you like to have all the fixings. Well, don't worry. We'll give it to you in a nutshell, but we definitely want to cover the main highlights that had happened on Raw. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. So one of the main highlights that we saw on this past Monday night's Raw was Jerry the King Lawler crossing swords with the WWE champion CM Punk. Now, at the beginning of the show, we saw Jerry the King Lawler. He would go into the ring, and he would tell the WWE champion how last week he had to apologize to Punk for sitting up saying that Punk turned his back on the WWE Universe when, in fact, that really was not the case. Well, he didn't appreciate CM Punk kicking him in the back of the head, so this week, Jerry the King Lawler felt that he was in the right to receive an apology from the WWE champion. Makes sense, right? All right, so the WWE champion comes out, and he tells Jerry the King Lawler that he's not going to apologize for kicking him in the head, that basically he had it coming to him, and CM Punk is still reeling over the fact that Jerry Lawler sat up and said that he turned his back on the WWE Universe when, as far as CM Punk was concerned, Jerry Lawler turned his back on the WWE by basically bashing the WWE champion. And CM Punk would further go on and say that, hey, I was talking to you, you turned your back on me, you pushed me to the side. I looked at that as a sign of disrespect, and that's why I kicked you in your silly head. So CM Punk explaining his actions and also putting a challenge out there to Jerry Lawler that, hey, if it bothers you that much, why not face me in the ring one-on-one? And folks, as I love to say from time to time, shit got real right here with CM Punk, as he had just had another mini pipe bomb moment as he just blazed the hell out of Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, CM Punk said things that a lot of us wrestling fans, marks, have been saying about Jerry Lawler for years, which has been about nothing but his commentating, how he just sucks, how it's very juvenile, how he just sounds like a young teenager. I know me personally, one of the main problems that I have with Jerry Lawler is that this guy is 60-plus years old, and he's hollering at these divas that are like in their 20s, maybe a little bit younger, and it's kind of like, Jerry, as that Pink Floyd song goes, leave those kids alone. So, that's one of the main things that just irritates the hell out of me with Jerry Lawler, but that's a whole completely different other subject. But let me just keep it well-grounded here, as we're talking about how Jerry Lawler just comes off on commentating. And CM Punk, I mean, he just really hit it home. He brought up the fact that Jerry's commentating just sounds basically incoherent. It sounds very juvenile, very kiddish, and that Jerry Lawler, he has no business being in the WWE Hall of Fame, because as far as the WWE champion is concerned, all Jerry Lawler has defeated is a bunch of nobodies, and the one time that he was involved in a WrestleMania match, he lost to commentator Michael Cole. And he would also point out that throughout Jerry Lawler's illustrious career, he's never held the WWE Championship. All valid points, of course, by the WWE Champion, and you could just look at the facial expressions on Jerry the King Lawler. It definitely looked like it was hitting close to home. And CM Punk, he issued the challenge. He said, hey, you look like you want to kick me. You look like you want to fight me. Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you meet me one-on-one later tonight? Jerry Lawler would not accept CM Punk's challenge at that point, and it would drag out throughout the night as Jerry Lawler told the champion he'll think about it. Well, eventually we would see, after about 3 segments, Jerry Lawler would accept CM Punk's challenge. And Jerry Lawler, he touched up on those points that CM Punk made about the wrestlers that King has faced over the years who were a bunch of nobodies. And he would quickly point out that, hey, the people that I faced over the years were not nobodies. These were legendary wrestlers such as Harley Race, superstar Billy Graham, Jesse the Body Ventura, men of which you probably would not be able to handle if you were wrestling them yourself. Very, very valid points indeed. Also, Jerry Lawler will point out that the comedian that CM Punk had referenced, as he even took a shot at Jerry Lawler for working with the late Andy Kaufman. Jerry Lawler would point out that as far as he was concerned, it was an honor to step foot in the ring with Andy Kaufman, as he feels that he was one of the most respectable, legendary comedians of all time, perhaps. And Jerry Lawler would sit up and accept CM Punk's challenge to go one-on-one in a match. And it would actually be the main event match of the night. That's right. We would see CM Punk take on Jerry Lawler, but we would get a little bit of help from the WWE Universe as AJ Lee, the Raw General Manager, would sit up and she would ask the WWE Universe to take to social media via Twitter and vote what type of match these two guys need to have in their main event. And the choices were steel cage match, tables match, no disqualification match. Well, the WWE Universe, they let their voices be heard, and the winner was a steel cage match. Now, in this match, we saw these two guys. They got it on. CM Punk, he offered to Jerry Lawler the first punch, and he just begged the King to punch him on the top of the chin. And Jerry Lawler, he did not want to do it at first. He did not want to take the cheap shot. He just wanted to straight up fight CM Punk. He was not going to let the match go forth unless Jerry Lawler struck first. Well, Jerry Lawler, he finally did it. Threw CM Punk off guard, but then from there, the action, it would officially start. And folks, we all know Jerry Lawler really did not have a chance in this contest, as eventually we would see CM Punk slap on the Anaconda Vice and make Jerry Lawler tap out. But it didn't stop there. We would see CM Punk go outside of the steel cage structure. He would go under the ring. He would pull out a toolbox, and he would pull out a padlock and chain, and he would set that cage door up so that nobody could get in or out. And he just proceeded to continue beating up Jerry Lawler, demanding an apology from him. Definitely some horrific stuff that we were seeing right here from the WWE champion. Pretty freaking hilarious, I thought. And we would finally see Superman John Cena come down to the ring, and he's telling CM Punk, no, Punk, you got to stop this. This is so wrong. You're going beyond the limits here. You need to stop. This is uncalled for. And CM Punk, he is just being relentless. He's continuing his assault. John Cena, he's demanding that the cage gets rose up from the ring, that it's raised. And we just see John Cena just being very frantic, trying to do everything he can to stop CM Punk. But CM Punk, he is just continuing his assault. Finally, the cage begins to rise, and just as quickly as John Cena slides into the ring, we see the voice of the voiceless immediately slide out, and he just goes hauling towards the backstage area. But looking on at the work that he left behind, as WWE officials, EMTs, John Cena, they all are surrounding Jerry Lawler. And that had pretty much put the bookend to Raw this past Monday night. Now, I looked at this, and the first thing I said to myself, oh, God, here we go. Whenever a point needs to be made, whenever we're trying to have a wrestler generate some type of major heat, and it's a major WWE superstar, let's have them work with Jerry the King Lawler. I just don't really understand this. I really don't. We saw The Miz do this. If I'm not mistaken, we saw Edge do this. I know for a fact we saw Stone Cold Steve Austin do this when he was part of that whole alliance. I mean, it seems like every time we turn around, it always seems like we got to involve Jerry the King Lawler in a match and try to generate some heat. Now, look, on the one hand, I'll give Jerry the King his props. I think it's phenomenal that at the age of 60-plus that he's able to go out there and he's able to still take bumps and he can put on a decent match, maybe not quite up to par like in his heydays, but I still appreciate the fact that he can go out there and he can put on a good quality type of match. I respect that. But then on the other side, I'm not tuning in to Raw to watch Jerry Lawler. You know, I'm tuning in to watch these other guys, and I just kind of felt that a different direction should have been taken with CM Punk. I think it would have been more cooler if maybe something could have been done with maybe Josh Matthews. I know every single time we see Josh Matthews gets involved in some type of a physical altercation, that thing usually trends, and he is just able to gather so much sympathy from the WWE Universe for the beatings that he takes at the hands of some of the talent. And I'm just kind of saying to myself, how badass would it have been if maybe Josh Matthews would have sat up and he would have put a tweet out there over the weekend saying basically what CM Punk did to Jerry Lawler was just inexcusable. It was despicable, not a way to represent the WWE, and be a WWE champion, and we could have seen CM Punk call out Josh Matthews and been like, hey, I read your tweets, big man behind a computer, behind your little cell phone. Why don't you back up what you said over the weekend? What do you got to say for yourself now? And then maybe we could have seen Josh Matthews and CM Punk work that match instead. I wouldn't have mind seeing Josh Matthews get buried. I mean, a lot of people forget this guy, he used to be a wrestler. He tried out for Tough Enough a good while back, and, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he still gets in the ring from time to time. Maybe it's just one of those cases where he's waiting for the right opportunity or who knows what, but I just kind of felt that that would have been better, especially when you would have recapped what all CM Punk had been doing for the past several weeks leading up into the Night of Champions pay-per-view. Now, bear in mind, we have just a little bit over 3 weeks to go into that pay-per-view, so anything can happen. There is still the possibility that maybe CM Punk will assault other WWE officials or other talent. You never know, but I just kind of think in this case it would have kind of been good to see CM Punk picking on Josh Matthews instead of Jerry Lawler. It just seems like every time we turn around, Jerry Lawler always has to be the answer to try to get somebody over. And really, I'm all fine for CM Punk verbally bashing Jerry Lawler as he's saying the things that exactly us fans are thinking about Jerry Lawler and his commentating. And for you guys that did not check out the RCWR Show weekend edition this past Saturday, highly recommend that you check it out because we went into great detail about talking about Jerry Lawler. So funny, too, when you really think about it. But we were talking about Jerry Lawler and the future of commentating, how sooner or later his time is going to be up. It was a really great episode. We even went into a little bit of overtime. After you get done checking this out, definitely backtrack. Check it out. It was definitely a really great listen. You won't be disappointed. But, yeah, that's just where I stand with regards to this whole Jerry Lawler, CM Punk angle. I just hope that it's over and they don't revisit it again because I don't know if I can really stomach another week of CM Punk and Jerry Lawler. I mean, what are they going to try to come up with next? Possibly John Cena teams up with Jerry Lawler in the main event to take on CM Punk and sheesh, I don't know, Daniel Bryan or something. I don't know, but you know, I don't want to see any more of this Jerry Lawler stuff. One of the other highlights that we had saw from this past Monday night's Raw, we had saw Damian Sandow surprisingly team up with someone who he felt definitely understood him and was very compatible to him on a very intellectual level. And that person that he would team up with is Cody Rhodes to take on Sin Cara and Brodus Clay. Now, I must admit, this had really jumped out at me when I had first heard about the pairing of these two guys. It was pretty damn interesting to me because I'm seeing these two guys teamed up together, and I'm saying to myself, does WWE know by chance what they just created here? Because they just created one hell of a tag team if they do this right. And I was just really saying to myself, please do not make this be a one-time week deal, one-time week, one-time match. Let's see these two guys team up again. And, man, you want to talk about a nice way to really put some, what's the word I'm looking for here? You really want to talk about a way to put some really great emphasis on the tag team division. Those two guys right there, nice pairing. Now, we would see these two guys, if I'm not mistaken, they would actually lose to Sin Cara and Brodus Clay, but nonetheless, it was a great tag team match right there. I definitely was not disappointed in seeing that. Also, quick little note here for you Damian Sandow fans. Now, you may look at this as the kiss of death. You may look at this as, okay, well, it's nice to know that good talent is being appreciated by the higher-ups. But word on the wrestling beat is Triple H has become very impressed with the work of Damien Sandow, and he himself is looking to push the hell out of Damien Sandow. So it looks like it's safe to say that Damien Sandow has become one of Triple H's new main pet projects. Now, I'm all for that, just as long as it's done right. And so far, from what I've seen of Damien Sandow, I'm very pleased. Let's see it continue. I wish the guy nothing but success. He's a phenomenal athlete. I just hope that under Triple H's guidance, it can definitely be done right. It can be handled in a way that he's not going to look very weak. I want him to basically continue the string of success that he's been having ever since he first popped up on the SmackDown roster. And for you guys that's been paying attention to SmackDown, if we're not mistaken here, that's now a month that we have not had Damien Sandow on SmackDown. So it's definitely looking like more and more Sandow is possibly done with the Blue brand, at least for now. But hey, at least we get to see him on live TV every single week. And also one of the main highlights that we had saw from this past Monday night's Raw, which really spoke volumes to me, was Daniel Bryan and Kane in therapy. I was really loving this segment. It was actually one of my favorite highlights of the night. I laughed so hard. I just was saying to myself, when was the last time I actually laughed at something that was really meant to be funny from WWE? And I know one of the last times they tried to give us a little backstage comedy skit, I believe it had involved Santino Marella running around, and he was trying to find the Three Stooges. And then when he finally did run into them backstage, they had the little sound effects, and they were doing the classic physical comedy routine, and I just did not think that was funny worth a damn. I thought this was pretty hilarious. I mean, for me, just seeing Daniel Bryan there amongst a group of random people, and he's trying to share his feelings, I just thought that was freaking hilarious. But then also, just to see Kane come in to anger management therapy, and he's got that freaking welder mask on, as I like to call it, and he's just sitting right there next to Bryan. He's just all quiet at first. Then we see Kane later on in the next segment talking about all of the things that makes him angry, all the despicable things that he's done over the years. I mean, Kane bringing up Katie Vick, ex-wife Lita, how his parents locked him in a basement and they got burned in a fire. And, I mean, Kane just really went out there. It was one of those scenarios where unless you can remember everything about Kane off the break, it was just funny hearing all of those things, especially if you've been following the career of Kane for as long as some of us have. As when he was just saying all this, we're laughing to ourselves saying, damn, yeah, he did go through that, didn't he? And it was just a really great moment. It was one of those moments. I was actually on Twitter interacting with a few people during the night, and I had put the shout-out out there. I said, look, if anybody can find me this clip of Kane, just that clip of Kane talking about all the despicable things that he's done over the years, we'll give you a shout-out on the air. So far, nobody has been able to find this footage yet. I gave up looking last night because I thought it was a little bit too soon to try to look for it, upload it on YouTube. So special shout-out to anybody that just so happens to find that particular YouTube piece of Kane just talking about all the despicable things he's done. If you want a shout-out live on the air, show us some love, see if you can find that video clip. We definitely would appreciate it. But definitely one of the cool highlights right there, as, of course, later on, we would actually see Daniel Bryan in action, and he would take on R-Truth, and he was doing pretty good when he first came out. It looked like Dr. Shelby, who was their therapist, or the rapist, or let me do the Sean Connery voice, the rapist, as my good man Daryl Hammond from Saturday Night Live used to say it when he would do the Celebrity Jeopardy shows, little spin-off things, nice little mock of Alex Trebek. It was really cool because we saw him doing a pretty good job with the crowd interaction as they were chanting their yeses. With Daniel Bryan, he wasn't feeding into it. He even went so far as to show some sportsmanlike conduct as he was wrestling R-Truth, and it was pretty good. But then R-Truth, he went outside the ring, and he went to the crowd, grabbing a microphone, and he started using some of Daniel Bryan's yes chants, and Daniel Bryan, he pretty much flipped the hell out, and he basically got a count out because he got so distracted interacting with the fans. Now, I don't know if you guys had peeped it out, but one of the guys that he had got into a shouting contest with is actually one of the guys that we actually follow on Twitter. I believe his name is Marking Out Loud, and that's the guy who has been dubbed as the Brock Lesnar stalker. Every single time you see Brock Lesnar, you see Paul Heyman, there's this skinny white guy with a short sleeve shirt. He's got a short brown hair. He's always not too far behind, and he's always doing these stupid little poses like, really retarded. I don't know. The guy's just silly to me, but he was actually getting into a verbal confrontation with that guy. It was definitely some hilarious stuff right there. But, yeah, Daniel Bryan, he got counted out for that. And but, hey, I'm really nice to see the progression that Daniel Bryan has as of late. I mean, Daniel Bryan, this guy is just freaking phenomenal. I mean, every single week. I mean, I know we always are giving this guy great praise, but, man, every single week, man, Daniel Bryan just seems to be stepping his game up more and more each week. This guy is just freaking white hot, and, I mean, I'm sitting up and I'm saying to myself when I'm seeing Daniel Bryan, I'm saying, man, this guy has definitely earned his keep in the WWE. This guy is going to be a serious impact player for years to come, and I'm very proud of Daniel Bryan. I mean, I think that, honestly, you know, and I'm using all my knowledge here of what I can recall from seeing from the WWE within recent years, especially within the last 10 years, and I will be so bold as to say that Daniel Bryan has been the next big thing that has happened for the WWE since John Cena. I mean, he has really just skyrocketed to hell. I mean, he's great. I mean, you can't put this guy down. I mean, he wrestles his ass off. He knows how to work the crowd beautifully. He definitely talks pretty damn good on the mic. I mean, he's just come a long way. I can only imagine how this guy is going to be 5 years from now. I mean, it's scary when you really think about it. If he's this damn popular right now, just how is he going to be in 5 years? And it really speaks large volumes when you think about it, because in almost every single city that Daniel Bryan pops up in, I mean, this guy's been getting a larger pop than the WWE champion, hell, than Triple H, hell, Brock Lesnar, John Cena. I mean, that says a lot right there. So hopefully WWE, they treat this guy really good, and they set him up in a way where, honestly, if I was Vinnie Mac, I would do my best to secure Daniel Bryan to a long-term deal. I would try to get him to sign like an 8-year contract or something, keep this guy around, truly phenomenal. You know, this guy says that he's a vegan, he doesn't eat meat, and he comes off like one of those type of guys that doesn't believe in abusing his body with drug substances and all of that. If he can just keep his nose clean and stay away from all that bad stuff that'll hurt his body, and just keep doing what he's doing. I mean, the guy definitely is going to be a serious impact player. I mean, he's already an impact player, but he's going to be a serious impact player for years and years to come, I feel. But really love the progression that Daniel Bryan has been making. I mean, it's just at a point right now where pretty much you got a wrestler that you're really not sure what to do with. They're just kind of floating around. Well, have them work with Daniel Bryan, and that's exactly what's been happening with Kane. I love the rub-off that Daniel Bryan has been giving Kane, because in Kane's own way, he's somewhat become relevant again, especially with that little funny skit that they did of him. And was I the only one that kind of noticed that Kane kind of seemed like he wanted to laugh at some of the things that he was saying there? He looked like he was having a hard time putting on a straight face despite wearing a mask. I just looked at it, and I was kind of like, this guy wants to laugh so freaking bad. But yeah, definitely mad props for Daniel Bryan right there. Of course, one of the other main highlights that we saw from this past Monday Night's Raw, we saw a Divas match that was in action, as we saw Layla, and this is how irrelevant this match is. It'll come back to me in a little bit, because I can't even remember who Layla was facing. All I remember is Layla won. Somebody in the chat room, if you want to jog my memory, feel free to go ahead. But the match was really insignificant to me. It was one of those type of matches. Though I was watching it, what was portrayed to me on TV was strongly saying to me that don't care about this match. It's pointless to watch. And I'm sitting up saying to myself, okay, well, if this is really the case, then why are you shoving this down our throats if you're going to be bashing it? It just made no sense to me. And this match, we would see Vicky Guerrero come down to the ring, and she's telling the Divas to hurry up because she has a very important announcement to make. And she's telling them to wrap it up. And we hear Michael Cole, he's basically feeding into what Vicky Guerrero is saying and hoping that the match can hurry up and conclude. And the match did conclude in about 3 minutes, I believe. And then we would see Vicky Guerrero give a mean stare down to Layla, as from there she had pointed out how AJ Lee wrongfully had put Dolph Ziggler in a match against Chris Jericho, where Ziggler's Money in the Bank contract was up for grabs if Jericho would have won the match. And Vicky Guerrero, she basically said that this was abuse of power coming from the Raw GM, and she begged the WWE Board of Directors to do the right thing and strip her of power and basically award the GM position to her, perhaps. And we would see AJ Lee come out, and she skips her little cute butt in the ring, and she's looking at Vicky Guerrero, just a nice little stare down for a few seconds, and all of a sudden we just see AJ snap, and she just pimp slaps the hell out of Vicky Guerrero before tackling her on the ground and start striking her. And Vicky Guerrero, she tried to hurry up and get off of that and get away from all that, as we would see AJ Lee leave the ring. And I just really thought that this was a really good moment right here. I thought it was a moment that definitely was needed for AJ. I think it's a smart move on WWE's part, because right now, if you really think about it, if you really, really think about it, then yes, Philip, I said pimp slap, bro. Because that's exactly what it was. That was a pimp slap. What's happening with Vicky Guerrero right now and AJ Lee? If you notice, AJ Lee, she had started to alienate fans a couple of weeks back. And I think this is a smart move on WWE's part, because I think that at this point, you kind of need to make sure that AJ doesn't lose that momentum that she had going into being named the Raw GM. So having AJ work this little program with Vicky Guerrero, I think that it's a very smart move. It definitely has the fans connected into the AJ character a bit longer. It has them cheering on for her, because the last thing you want to do is lose that fan base that AJ Lee has built over all these months, and then to basically have it just backfire, and then boom, you're going to have to try to find another Raw GM before the month is out. I mean, that would look really bad. So very smart move for WWE pinning these two together. I definitely am very curious to see where this is going to lead into. Could it possibly be a case where AJ Lee may take on Vicky Guerrero at Night of Champions? That would be an interesting idea. Or maybe AJ Lee might team up with somebody else to take on Vicky Guerrero and another WWE diva. It could very well happen, but I'm very curious to see where this development is going to lead us to. But I love the pairing of this. Very smart move. Definitely needed right now. Very curious, though. I wonder if Eve might happen to try to play into this whole deal. I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe Vicky Guerrero tried teaming up with Eve. That would be a nice little match right there. As far as who AJ could possibly team up with, if it were to be a 2-on-2 tag, maybe she could team up with the WWE champion. Then again, if the Divas champion, and I'm talking about the Divas champion, I apologize there, folks. I didn't mean the WWE champion, CM Punk. I'm talking about the Divas champion. Divas champion, it's possible that she might be booked in a match at Night of Champions. So that kind of scratches Layla off. The only other diva I could think of, maybe Natalya Neidhart, maybe Beth Phoenix. I'm trying to think of other baby faces. Maybe Tamina. I believe Tamina's a baby face right about now. I don't know. Should be very interesting to see how that plays out. Another cool moment that we saw on this past Monday night's Raw, and we definitely wanted to talk about this when I have just eagerly been anticipating this moment right here. The Triple H, the game. So all this hype of Triple H, all the vignettes, all the accomplishments that Triple H has had over the years, it all boils down to just one moment right now, folks. Triple H, is game over? That's the question that had just been asked all throughout the night. It seemed like every freaking segment they were hyping up Triple H, and so Triple H, he comes out and he addresses whether or not he's going to be retiring. And I just love how Triple H just comes out and he's like, so everybody wants to know if I'm going to be retiring. And, you know, I'm looking at this and I'm really trying to listen to this with a fresh set of ears. And we got to keep it real over here. I got to look at it from the good side, and I got to look at it from the bad side. Now, let me look at it from the good side first. And as we later had learned, originally, Triple H giving the retirement announcement speech, it wasn't going to happen this past Monday night. The only reason why it happened was because they loved the fact that Triple H had received the ovation that he did at SummerSlam, which honestly, like I said on last week's the RCWR show this past Tuesday, if it wasn't for the Titantron, Triple H would have been there mad overtime trying to sell to the crowd that he didn't beat Brock Lesnar and that he was sorry. He was sorry. Well, we got Triple H this past Monday night, and he's sitting up and he's just dragging it out, talking about how he's accomplished so much and how basically because of Brock Lesnar, he's at a crossroads and he's not really sure if he should be retiring, how he would like to tell the fans that he's going to train harder, he's going to come back better than before, and he's going to come back and kick Brock Lesnar's ass, that's what he would like to say, but that it's not in him to say it right now, and he just dragged it out for like about 15 minutes, basically saying that he is retiring, and I just sat up and I'm looking at this. Now, I said I was going to mention the good. I like to try to mention the good first before I go into the bad. The good was, if you're a WWE PG fan and you just came onto the product a little bit late, then you probably appreciated that. You were probably in tears and you probably said, "No, Triple H, don't go. Don't go, Triple H." As some of the people that we saw in attendance, kids crying, we saw women, pretty women at that, crying. And I'm saying to myself, wow, man, they really got these fans good this time around. Then I'm looking at Triple H, and I'm thinking to myself, man, it took this guy almost 15 minutes just to bust out some tears. And I'm saying to myself, and I don't mean to think bad, but as I'm seeing Triple H trying to break out the tears, I'm saying to myself, what did Triple H possibly have to think of to make himself cry? I have an idea. Maybe he was thinking about the possibility of losing those millions of dollars if he cheated on Stephanie. And as that Ray Charles song goes, he got busted. So I'm saying to myself, okay, that probably explains why he's crying. He probably had to really dig down deep and think of something really bad, to really make himself cry. And I know me and a couple other people, we were looking at this and we were saying to ourselves, man, Triple H's acting right here is a little bit better than him and the chaperone. Oh, so we're looking at this and we're like, okay, whatever. Now, let's talk about the bad of all this. For WWE fans that go back to WWF, Attitude Era, and if you know anything of what you've been listening to this show so far within recent weeks, you know that a lot of the callers that we have that call into the show from time to time, they are definitely veteran WWE fans. So we all can definitely say in agreement, don't know who the hell that Triple H was in the ring this past Monday night, but that was not the King of Kings. That was not Hunter Hearst Helmsley. That was not the Cerebral Assassin. That was not the Game, okay? That was not Triple H. I don't know who the hell that guy was, but that guy that was in the ring, I mean, it looked like Triple H, kind of talked like Triple H, even did a little pose like Triple H despite having a messed up arm. But that was no way in hell Triple H, because the Triple H that we all grew up on was the type of MFer that sat up, and if he did get his ass handed to him, he always came back. He came back stronger. He came back better than before. So you're trying to tell me that your arm has been broken twice now by the next big thing, Brock Lesnar, and you don't think you can come back. You think that it's now time for you to retire. Now, you've had injuries more serious than this. If I'm not mistaken, you did not one, but you did tear 2 quads, opposite legs, and you had many doctors tell you this was it. There's no way you were going to be coming back. You're done. But you pretty much said, F you, I'm the Game, I'm the King of Kings. If I set my mind to it, I can come back. So you came back from 2 sidelining injuries, okay? And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm just remembering off the top of my head here. We have Triple H, who is an 8-time WWF champion, a 5-time World Heavyweight champion, and you're telling me that because of Brock Lesnar breaking your poor arm twice, you're done. I don't know who the hell that Triple H was, but that ain't the Triple H I grew up watching, and I just wasn't buying that is what I'm really saying to you folks. I know there's probably a lot of you out there that are definitely feeling the same way. It's really hard to buy that. I mean, this is the same guy. We talked about it on Saturday. This is the same Triple H that took a sledgehammer to the back of Shawn Michaels at the SummerSlam 2002 pay-per-view. This is the same Triple H who did not like the fact that Randy Orton had took away his World Heavyweight Championship when he had beat Chris Benoit for it to become the new youngest World Heavyweight Champion. And him and Evolution members, Batista, Ric Flair, they assaulted him, and Triple H was leading the whole daggone thing. This is the same Triple H that time and time and time and time again has just done some of the most evil, conniving stuff that just makes you hate this guy to his very core. And here we have this guy that just really came off very weak, very girly. It is really hard to stomach and buy. Honestly, this just was not needed. I would not even have gone the retirement route. It's just not believable. I would have just sat up and I would have dragged this storyline out with Triple H. I would have set it up in a way so that we could have had HBK Shawn Michaels. We could have had Road Dogg Jesse James, Badass Billy Gunn, X-Pac. We could have did some type of a piece segment where, hey, have you guys heard from Triple H? It seems like the latest word in the WWE is that no one has heard from the game Triple H ever since he stepped away from losing his match to Brock Lesnar. Nobody has been able to get in contact with him. What's going on? And all of those former DX members, they could have chimed in their thoughts, and maybe week after week we could have maybe see one of them give a little message via tout or something like that, asking if Triple H is okay, and if so, let the WWE Universe know. And you could have did it in a way where a month could have went by, and then maybe HBK Shawn Michaels could have came back, and he could have been like, look, Hunter, if you don't respond to me by next Monday night's Raw, I'm going to take me a camera guy, and we're going to come down to your neck of the woods, and we're going to look for you. And maybe they could have did something like that, and then Shawn Michaels could have ended up popping up at Triple H's home or whatever, and then finally the two of the guys, they could have sat up and they could have talked, and that could have been a nice little piece right there where Triple H could basically say, look, I'm still thinking about, what's next for me. I should have had this guy, Shawn. I should have beat this guy. I should have had him. I don't know where I messed up. And that really could have been Triple H right there. He just could have been like, not sure how I messed up, where I messed up, but, I need to beat Brock Lesnar. Nothing else is important right now. The only thing that matters right now is beating Brock Lesnar. He's become my obsession. And that's the Triple H that we all grew up and loved, because that Triple H is the one, when he becomes obsessed with something, when he becomes fixated on something, he does not stop until it's his. Okay? That's the Triple H that we grew up on. That's the guy that we need to see. And they could have just dragged that out beautifully. If done right, they could have wrote it out maybe into late December. As the latest word that we're hearing now is that possibly Triple H may not face Brock Lesnar until next year's WrestleMania. Now, if that really is going to be the case, that's a hell of a stretch between now and WrestleMania 30. So very curious to see how that's really going to develop, how they're going to be able to fill in those gaps with the storyline. Now, it would have made more sense for these two guys to hook up at Hell in a Cell, but if they're really trying to have a rematch take place at WrestleMania, I'm all for it, especially if it means that we don't get to see Brock Lesnar or Triple H take on The Undertaker's streak. But definitely thought I would chime in my thoughts on that piece, as that alone, it just really had me going ever since I had saw it, and hopefully you guys appreciate that, especially you Triple H fans out there. So this is what we're going to do right now. We're going to go on ahead, we're going to take a brief commercial break, and then when we come right back, I'll get you guys caught up briefly on what all has been happening in wrestling-related news, and then we'll definitely go on ahead and open up the phone lines and take you all's calls. We definitely want to get you all's reactions from what you all thought of Raw this past Monday night, or other wrestling-related topics that had got you curious or talking about throughout the week since last we were on the air. So we're going to take a brief commercial break right now, and when we come right back, we'll go ahead and we'll jump right into it. So hang tight, folks. You're listening to the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show on August 28th, 2012. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit InfinityOneProductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit InfinityOneProductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, Lee Sanders here with the RCWR Show, and I'd like to take this time out to tell you about one or two quick apps that I think you should check out when you get a free moment. First app I'd like to recommend to you is the app from Stitcher. Now, Stitcher allows you to be able to play all our episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown on your portable devices, such as an Android phone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name it, it'll be able to play it. So definitely highly recommend that you check that out. It's available for free in the App Store. Stitcher, new and smart way to play radio. Also, another cool app that I'd like to recommend to you all is a new app that came out not too long ago from Apple. That's right, Apple has recently come out with a free podcast app. Now, this app is really cool, folks, because after we are done doing our shows, all you have to do is just subscribe to our episodes. And you can do this by downloading this new free podcast app. All you have to do, visit the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search podcast. Once the app is downloaded, you can then type in the name of our shows, the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown, and you'll be able to subscribe. It's that easy. So you have two cool free apps that you can check out and take all our episodes with you on the go. So get to it already.
All right, and we're back. You're listening to the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR Show. Black Avenger here, Lee Sanders, as always. So, yeah, folks, so into wrestling news now that we go into, and I got some China news for you guys. Now, usually when we mention China here on the RCWR Show, it's never really anything good, but take it how you want to take it. Some of you might think it's good. Vivid Entertainment is getting ready to release a new China. That's right, the ninth wonder of the world, China, as she is going to be starring in a new porn movie. It's going to be called Queen of the Ring. Now, it's going to be coming out on September 4th on Vivid's website, and it'll be available in stores September 12th. Now, in this movie, China plays parodies of pro wrestling icons, oh Lord, from the likes of Triple H, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Ric Flair, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Iron Sheik, Doink the Clown, John Cena, Gene Okerlund, Vince McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon. Now, China was quoted saying, "This movie made me feel sexy and wanted. I was glad it was a long shoot because I was totally turned on and having so much fun laughing with a lot of guys. I think adult movie fans will go crazy over it. Now, for you collectors out there that are a little bit curious about the cast of this movie, we have Lisa Ann as Stephanie McMahon, Valerie Kay as Ring Girl, Ron Jeremy as himself, Alex Sanders as Ric Flair, Anthony Hardwood as Triple H, Cyrus King as Stone Cold Steve Austin, Evan Jones as Vince McMahon, Marco Banderas as Iron Sheik, Ralph Long as Doink the Clown, Sledgehammer as The Rock. I apologize. Sledgehammer as The Rock. Wow, that's a good one. T.J. Cummings as John Cena and Tommy Pisto as Gene Okerlund. China would also say, I've been wanting to make this particular parody for a long time. Of course, I know every player who is parody, and it was great to spar with them again. But this time, it was really hot on my new sexual turf. I'm not going to even touch that. Anyway, moving right along, folks, we got some NXT, or actually Tough Enough news for you guys, as WWE NXT trainer Bill DeMott was recently asked on Twitter if a new season of Tough Enough was on the horizon, and he was quoted saying that he actually had heard some buzz about Tough Enough getting up and running. So hopefully, maybe we can see another installment. They can take their sweet time as far as I care, but as long as they get Stone Cold Steve Austin back in there, I definitely thought that he was a fantastic I definitely thought that he was a fantastic judge right there. We also got some Sean Daivari news for you guys. Sean Daivari, he had recently went on a radio show, and he had gave away his takeaway on several key highlights as he brought up the reason why he had left WWE in 2007. For those of you not really familiar with that name, that's the guy that was paired up with Muhammad Hassan. If you don't know who Muhammad Hassan is, a little bit before your time there, definitely Google it up, YouTube it. You'll definitely will like Muhammad Hassan and Siobhan Daivari, some really great pieces of talent right there. But he talked about why he left WWE in 2007. He said that pretty much his contract was up. They offered him a new 3-year deal, and he pretty much had thought about what it was like when he first signed to the company back in 2007. And pretty much in a nutshell, he didn't really like the way the first 3 years went, and he feared what was going to happen with the next 3 years that they were offering. So he decided that he wanted to look for another job elsewhere. Kurt Angle had got word of this, and he put in a good word for him in TNA. So that's how he pretty much ended up in TNA. Now, Sean Daivari would also talk about what had led to his release from TNA Wrestling, and he would point out that it was because of Vince Russo, and that it was a couple of things, that the way TNA were structured compared to WWE, definitely different, and that Daivari was being paid a pretty great deal amount of money that was almost similar to what he made in the WWE as Dixie Carter, Jeff Jarrett. They had a hand in making sure that he got paid a respectable size amount of money. But then they will point out that once Jeff Jarrett got pushed out the door and Vince Russo came in, Russo pretty much didn't like his character, thought it was a bit outdated. From there, he wasn't on that many TV or pay-per-view events. And as far as he was concerned, he pretty much had enough. So he decided that he was going to leave the company. And he would point out that with regards to Vince Russo was one of those type of guys who did not like getting inputs or did not like getting ideas, that pretty much Vince Russo came off as the type of guy that loved coming up with his own ideas, whether good or bad, and he pretty much laid the gauntlet down on it. So, mad props to Sean Daivari for recognizing a little bit of dangerous territory there when he had saw it. And we also got a little bit of Floyd Mayweather news to tell you guys. As Floyd Mayweather, he had recently popped up on the Chipper Sounds and Rcwr Show on Hot 97 to discuss his involvement with the WWE. Now, he would reveal that he's actually close friends with Triple H and that he's about to go back to the WWE, as he revealed that he'll be making an appearance at WrestleMania 2013. So that should be pretty interesting right there. Rosa Mendes, she had recently sat up and she had revealed in the WWE magazine that recently came out that she would like to have another shot at the WWE Divas title, and she hopes that one day she can represent the Divas division by holding on to that championship, as she would love the opportunity to represent the Divas division. So I thought that was a pretty cool article read right there. Now, other than that, the only other wrestling-related news that we have to report to you guys is what all had happened with Mick Foley, as apparently over the course of 30-plus hours, we had saw a story spread like wildfire, as at one point during Triple H's promo, he had said something that a lot of people had considered to be a knock at the hardcore legend Mick Foley. Now, this had actually made Mick Foley go on the defense and talk about his relationship with the game Triple H. Now, this is all what Mick Foley had to say, and he said a lot of this on Twitter. So he said Triple H should take it from a guy who knows. Better to go out on top on your own terms than to hang around too long. Yes. Just lost 3 times in a single Triple H highlight reel. When it comes to losing high-profile matches, I am truly the king of kings. Geez, kind of felt like he was referring to me there, didn't it? Now, Foley would also follow up on this, and he would say the following statement. And we definitely want to read this in its entirety here. It's pretty short, but it's pretty direct and pretty sweet. Mick Foley had this to say: "Can I clear up this rumor about me not getting along with Triple H? Triple H is the man responsible for bringing me back to the WWE. I am very happy in my role as WWE ambassador and have a variety of WWE projects due out in the next few months. A children's book, a set of cards that I did the writing for, and the WWE 13 game that I am apparently featured prominently in. I am hoping to use the release of the book to become a much larger part of WWE's Be a Star campaign. WWE has gone out of their way to clear considerable chunks of time for me, including the Montreal and Edinburgh Comedy Festivals and the upcoming Singapore Writers Festival and February tour of Australia. And if I ever feel like I need a quick Foley fix, like I absolutely need to hear thousands of people chanting my name, well, pretty much any house show I want to appear at is just a phone call or text away. There is no higher form of flattery for me than showing up on another WWE Superstars highlight video. I was thrilled to be there 3 times for Triple H. Bottom line, I'm happy. I'm part of the company I love, and I get to try things on my own. Thank you, Triple H, for bringing me back to the WWE." Really classy words right there from Mick Foley. Now, with regards to Mick Foley, I know a lot of people, they probably might look at that and they probably might say, "Oh, Mick Foley, he's kissing Triple H's ass." But when you really think about it, really think about it, Mick Foley has been very successful post-WWE. He's written some pretty good books. He's been having a phenomenal job doing the stand-up comedy routine. I definitely feel that, Mick Foley, there's nothing more behind that. It's just God the honest truth of what he's saying. So there's really not too much to make out of that. We apologize to you guys that experienced a little bit of audio problems earlier. We don't know what happened. We were doing the show and the feed had just got cut off, so it definitely had hurt us there for a couple of minutes. We apologize about that. But we want to go on ahead right now, and we want to play this piece for you guys. I had sat up and I had did this piece earlier in the day, and it's regards to an announcement that we had made a couple of months back where we were talking about a collaboration that we were going to be doing with the NWA. Now, I only thought that it would be right to play it on this episode, as I just wanted to get it out the way now. I didn't want it dragging into the weekend when we get ready to do the weekend edition of the RCWR show, which you definitely want to check out this Saturday at 2 p.m., as we're going to be covering a very special in-depth look into Chris Jericho. And I asked the question, if and when Chris Jericho does return to the WWE, how should he be utilized the next time around? You're definitely going to love what we have to say about that. And we're also going to have a video game review for the new updated WrestleFest that's going to be coming out in the PlayStation Network and also in the Xbox Live marketplaces. So you definitely want to check that out. Now, with tonight's show, we don't really want to make it be a habit, but tonight's show is going to run into overtime. It is the 12-minute mark right now, and this piece that I'm getting ready to play, talking about the whole NWA, it's about 18 minutes plus long. For those of you, if you happen to find it might sound a little bit redundant, go take out the trash or go make sure that the doors are safely locked before you go to sleep for the night. But you'll definitely will appreciate what I have to say right here. Definitely something that I had to get off my chest. Y'all definitely appreciate it. So just enlighten it as you listen to it for a little bit. And we'll definitely, after it's over, we'll definitely open up the phone line. So let me just say this before I play this piece. We're going to be going in overtime. So do not freak out when you guys that are listening to this show live right now, when you hear that the feed gets cut off at 12:30. The show is still going to be going on. We're actually going to take in callers. So if you want to call in right now, you can do that. We'll have you be on queue. Kick back, smile, and dial 646-478-3525. Again, that's 646-478-3525. And after the piece is over, we'll go ahead and we'll take your calls. All right, so until we hear from you guys this Thursday night for Impact Showdown Radio, I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. We're going to go ahead. We're going to play this piece right now, and we'll go into overtime with those of you that are on hold. Enjoy, folks.
Okay, so I had got asked a question over the weekend by one of our loyal listeners, and it was a private YouTube message that they had sent me, and they had asked, when was I going to do a radio show for the NWA promotion? And as far as this listener was concerned, they felt that the show had gotten to where it needed to be, and they were very excited to hear the latest on what all has been happening with NWA Florida and also NWA Korea. Well, I thought that this was a very interesting question, a very important question that definitely needed to be addressed, so I only thought that it would be fair to talk about this. Now, for those of you that have been listening to the show from the very beginning, or you've been listening to the show for a very long time, you all may remember that there was a time for a couple of months there, right at the start of summer, where I had made an announcement that we over here at Infinity One Productions had teamed up with NWA and that we were going to be doing a original radio show for them. We were going to try to do a 30-minute show, and on this show we were going to try to cover NWA Florida and NWA Korea. Now, let me just set this story up perfectly for you guys in a nutshell. Basically, what had went down was right around the time that I had came across the guy that was temporarily my co-host, James. It was like around maybe close to, I want to say the 4th of July holiday. I'm not really sure, or maybe sometime in late May. I'm leaning more towards late May. Right after I had came across James, I had came across this guy. I'm not going to name his name because I don't want people to take this as a bashing campaign, because that's not what this is about. I just want to set the record straight.
get my points across, because I feel that this is something that definitely needs to be tackled before we go any further into the show. So this man representing the NWA Florida and NWA Korea, I will just call this man RL, okay? He had hit me up and he had asked me how would I feel about doing a 30-minute radio show for him. And the reason why he was hitting me up was because he had took the pleasure of ordering one of my gigs on Fiverr. Now, from time to time, I do a little spot on Fiverr where I offer to give you a plug on the radio show. And I've had a few people that took the liberty of hitting me up, and we love doing that because it's our way of looking out for those up-and-coming little small companies or folks that are looking to branch out to a new audience. But my whole thing is it has to make perfect sense to plug on our show. You know what I'm saying? It has to fit in to what it is that we cover on a regular basis. So I'm pretty picky about those who I decide I want to take in for that week's sponsors. And RL, he had liked the way that we had came off pitching him in a little commercial spot that we did on the show. And he actually had said that thanks to our show, he had actually saw an increase on one of his Facebook pages for NWA. And he had asked me how would I like to do a wrestling radio show covering NWA. And I told him straight up, I said, you know what, this would be a tremendous honor. I am very familiar with the NWA. I'm a little bit rusty because I thought that maybe it no longer existed. And when he told me that it was still alive and it was still strong, I told him how much I had appreciated the NWA growing up as a little kid, and how in recent years I've been slowly getting back into watching NWA as I've been making it my business to check out NWA footage of yesteryears on YouTube or Daily Motion. And I told him that this would be a tremendous honor and a privilege, but I also stressed to him that I was a little bit wet behind the ears, as at this point, folks, I only had about maybe 3.5 months under my belt as far as doing radio shows. And so he kept all that in mind, and he said, well, you know, I like what I've heard so far, and I definitely think that you'd be the great man for the job. We definitely need to sit down and talk about price and figure out when we could get everything rolling. Honestly, we would like to have a show going before the end of August. And I told him, I said, well, you know what, that would not be a problem. I told him, I said, as I said, I'm very rusty on NWA. I would need to have some type of access to footage. And he told me that it wasn't going to be a problem, that they had archives and archives of old NWA footage. I would definitely be able to get caught up to speed. Not a problem at all. And this all had happened in a phone call conversation. So the next thing I know, he had befriended me on Facebook, and we also had exchanged a few emails. Now, I actually happened to save some of these emails, and one of the email exchanges that we had, he had told me that he had wanted a picture of me because he was going to try to add it to the NWA portfolio, and that he wanted me to figure out what did I want to be displayed on my NWA business cards, because he was getting ready to send out my business cards, a t-shirt, all that kind of cool stuff. And I told him, yeah, well, here's what I was thinking I'd like for it to say on the card. What do you think? And he thought that idea kind of sucked, and he was like, well, look, why don't you go with this instead? And yeah, you know, we got your cards on the way, your shirts on the way. That cards, those bulk of cards, the t-shirt, it never came, okay? And, you know, as time went on, I did my best to stay in contact with him. I saw that he was revamping the website. I had said to him if he needs any help to please let me know, that I was a little bit familiar with the
type of software that he was using to try to create a new website, and he told me he would gladly appreciate the help, but nothing really came out of fruition from that. He would also send me a few messages letting me know how to go about plugging the NWA. Now, if you guys remember, there was a brief period of time there where almost on every single RCWR post show, every single episode of the Tuesday Night Wrestling Report edition of the RCWR show, Thursday night Impact Showdown Radio, we used to do a lot of spots for them. And I was instructed by RL to do those spots especially on YouTube, do everything we can to set up and give them a strong enough fan base. So, after a while, folks, I just did not hear anything from RL, and it got to the point where I sat up and I said to myself, okay, obviously this person really is not that serious about doing a collaboration together. Now, only one time did I see any type of a advertisement on RL's Facebook page which said, hey, follow Lee Sanders, follow his show, it's really great stuff, we're going to be working with them. I probably only saw that once, and I had just tirelessly did everything I could to do a lot of spots for him, for the companies, and it's just gotten to a point right now where, folks, we don't need to insult your intelligence. My intelligence doesn't need to be insulted. This month is pretty much over with. We're already going into the month of September, and we haven't heard anything from this man. Now, I'm one of those type of people. I'm not a guy who will try to come off and be very pressed. I'm not one of those type of guys that wants to look like he does not have any patience. But if I'm being told that the goal is to have a show launch before the end of August, I definitely would have expected for there to be intense negotiations in the month of July as far as how much money it would have cost to be able to do a show, as far as exactly the format of the show, all of that, and nothing was ever followed up. So I'm at a point where I am right now where, I love what's happening with the RCWR show on Tuesday nights. I love what's been happening with Impact Showdown Radio on Thursdays. I definitely love what's been happening with our post shows, the weekend edition shows that we've been doing. We've pretty much found our own little niche, and I'm very proud to say that since day one that I sat up and I had the vision of creating a website, trying to create a company, and having a radio show to support all that, I'm very proud to say that with my own money, my own sweat, my own headaches, along with the people that have been riding with me since day one, which has been my girlfriend, co-producer Tammy, my man Zed, we all have been riding this baby out to where it is right now, and we have done just fine without any type of help from RL in the NWA promotion. Now, RL, he had sat up, and I didn't learn this until really the hard way. I had learned that he had bought a bunch of fan likes for our Facebook page. Now, for those of you that aren't quite aware, if you're not really sure about that, there is a way that you can set up and get people to like the hell out of your Facebook page. And originally, especially if you've been paying attention to the numbers on our Facebook page, it had really skyrocketed there. But then if you kind of notice, it looks like it's going down just a little bit. Well, I was doing it the right way. I was actually dipping in my own pockets, and I was basically putting up an advertisement on Facebook to get people to like the page and follow us. So there actually are legit wrestling fans. I see when they like a page or when they comment. There are some real legit people on our Facebook like page. But at that point, he had sat up and he had bought a ton of likes. And, when I have found out about that, to say that I was a little bit upset was an understatement, because that's not what I want for Infinity One Productions to represent. I don't want it to be some type of an image, a facade. I want it to be the real thing, because I feel that we definitely have a very strong product that continues to grow stronger and stronger every single week. We continue to get nothing but a ton of great support from you, the listeners. So I definitely feel that we have been improving over the past couple of months, especially within recent weeks. And I'm saying all this to let you know, and I'm saying all this just to make sure that the record is straight. I hold no bitterness towards RL or the NWA promotion. I just wish that if it was a scenario where he had decided he wanted to go into a different direction, I just wish that he would have done the right thing and say, hey, look, man, I just want to let you know that I decided to go in a different direction. I wish you nothing but the best. I really appreciate all the plugs that you've been giving on your shows. Please, if you can continue to do so, we'd appreciate it. It wouldn't have been no problem whatsoever. Or if he could have just sent a email out of the clear blue and said, hey, just stay in contact with you. Hope everything's been going well. Been listening to the show. Keep up the great work. Or if he was really serious about me doing this show, he could have sat up and been like, hey, I listened to this episode. I got to give you a little bit of constructive criticism. As this isn't working, you might want to try this, do this instead. And I hadn't received anything like that from him. So from this point forward, this will be the last and only time that you will ever hear me mention the NWA, or you will hear me mention RL. If I do mention the NWA, it will probably be something WWE related or TNA related, maybe Ring of Honor related, as it may pertain to somebody that's currently on the roster, or maybe I'm mentioning a throwback wrestler. But other than that, the current promotions that's running around right now tied into RL, I'm not going to be bringing it up. Now, I could be a very bitter and petty man. I could go back on all the YouTube videos that I had did where I had plugged the NWA Florida and NWA Korea, but I'm not going to do that because the way my parents raised me, there's no reason to be petty like that. There are a ton of episodes in our Blog Talk Radio archives that has the NWA plug embedded into the show description. Those are not going to be stripped. Those will remain intact. I'm not petty like that. All I'm saying is just going forward, I'm going to be moving in a different direction. And it's just one of those type of deals where, for those of you that are listening out there, if you really would love to try to do something with us, we are more than ears. We are more than happy to listen, and we are more than willing to try to do some type of a collaboration. Just come correct. Make sure that it's something everybody can be excited about. Make sure it's something everybody will have a fun time doing. And hey, whether it's just for money or not, I mean, and that's really the messed up part about this whole thing. In retrospect, I actually would have done it pro bono, just to be able to add my name to the NWA resume, or rather just to be able to have NWA on my resume. I just think it just would have been truly phenomenal, and I would have did it pro bono. But yeah, that's where everything stands on that. I just thought I would mention this because I know I have been receiving a couple of questions from time to time asking when I was going to do the NWA show. And I just thought that after getting the reply that I had got over the weekend, I would definitely address it. I apologize for those of you that might have been under the impression that maybe I was just talking a hot game and I wasn't really being serious. My whole thing was I just wanted to wait and see if everything was finally going to start coming into place before I did what I did right now, before I'm doing what I do right now. I always had this on standby just in case it had got towards the deadline and I didn't see anything coming. I always said to myself, well, I definitely want to explain to our loyal listeners what all has been going on. So I just wanted to set the record straight. from that. But, like I said, the show, we have been doing a fantastic job since before RL came into the picture. He really hasn't had any type of an impact whatsoever on what we've been doing, and we will just manage fine without him. So you're either with us or you're on the other side, and in this case, it looks like he's on the other side. We had stopped all association with him and the NWA promotion effective as of Sunday. So we wish him and the promotions nothing but the best of luck. I'm not bashing him. I'm not bashing the promotions. It's just if you want to do something with us, you just got to really come correct. Main thing that I have a pet peeve for is communication. For me, communication is key. And like I said, I'm not one of those type of people that's going to sit up and hound somebody and keep asking them the same question over and over and over, because I don't want to come off sounding like I'm pressed, because I'm not. I'm one of those type of people. If I need to know something, I have a question, I'll ask it. I'll make sure I know what's on the up and up, and then that way I know how to be prepared. And in this case, this was just a scenario where all this particular person was talking was nothing but game. And like I said, I have a few of those email exchanges as well as Facebook messages between myself and him. So, but it is what it is. So hopefully this sets the record straight. And keeping all that in mind, let's go ahead and let's go on with the show.
All right. So hopefully you guys appreciate that piece right there. That was something I had did earlier today, and I just definitely wanted to set the record straight there. I apologize if it might have been a little bit lengthy there, but I wanted to make sure that without a doubt all bases were covered, and hopefully I definitely came off in that piece as someone that was not bitter, that had no hard feelings. Hopefully I came off in a true professional sense. So we're in the overtime right now. Let's go on ahead and let's open up the phone lines. For those of you that are happening to be listening right now, wherever you may be, you can still feel free to call on in, 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. We are now in the overtime zone. Let's go ahead and let's go live with our good friend Dave from the Michigan area. Dave, you're live on the air, my friend.
Hey, Lee, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, bro. How you been?
Not too bad. It was a great piece. I mean, it just looks like someone was trying to get some free shout-outs, just saying, I got this stuff. It's in the mail. The check's in the mail, basically. It's in the mail.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Yeah, I got a lot of that.
Yeah.
But the thing I want to talk about Raw real quick, which I really didn't enjoy it that much, besides the little promos and that's what you're on call with Kane and Bryan. I was thinking, man, just think if they made it where Daniel Bryan and Kane were forced to become a tag team. I think that would be so interesting right there. That would be an interesting dynamic tag team, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, could they coexist?
Yeah, well, you would almost make it where they're forced to team, like we had with Angle and Benoit. They hate each other, but they're forced to team together and become a tag team. Those two, I mean, that's the perfect sign of a tag team: strength and speed.
Yeah. I would pay to see that, yeah. I
know. I mean, that would be a good team. I mean, and I got some other questions for you. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was like, okay, first we'll do the SmackDown really quick. I kind of see, I'll do a little spoiler, I guess. I kind of see that Dolph Ziggler, I think Sheamus will retain his title at Night of Champions, and I can see Dolph Ziggler cashing that in. And that can go for a couple months back and forth for pay-per-views. But on Raw, I'm really concerned about that. Because who do they really have? Let's say CM Punk retains the title somehow. And then say he cheats and John Cena does get one more rematch. Who do you put in CM Punk and CM Punk still keeps the belt? Who do you put CM Punk against then? I mean, who is there? You still have 2, maybe 3 months left till the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Unless you continue dropping the title back and forth between Punk and Cena, I mean, that would be the only other thing they could really do.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was like, man, who else do they really have to put against Punk if, say, John Cena loses, say, 2 straight months, and then you still got at least, November and December?
Honestly, maybe they need to do a little bit of divide and conquer, because, I mean, we almost got the same argument that can be made on the SmackDown side if they want to stretch out Dolph Ziggler. I think in this case they should try to see if maybe they can have Mark Henry work with CM Punk. Now, some people might moan and groan with that selection, but, you know, we're pretty much just talking about CM Punk killing time till he works his match with The Rock. I think Mark Henry would be the way to go, and then afterwards you just have Mark Henry go back down to low mid-card status. Have him come out like a strong bull out the cage, you know, have him take on Punk. Now, you go over on the SmackDown side of things. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Wade Barrett get a shot at Sheamus.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be nice, but I mean, because just the way they keep hinting towards Dolph's going to cash in, it just seems like it's coming really soon as they keep doing this like this.
Yeah, it really does.
Coming really soon, because when Daniel Bryan was at that point last year, when it's like, oh, we almost cashed it in, almost, and then it came at TLC when he finally did. And I mean, there's just, no, I wouldn't mind seeing, I could see Dolph winning that, say, Joey will beat Sheamus, and then Dolph catches it in on him or something like that. And then you could still see a Wade, or say Sheamus wins and Wade Barrett pops up at Night of Champions and beats the crap out of him, and then Dolph catches it in like that. And then you have a feud between Barrett and Sheamus for a while. And then you could have Dolph go on and wrestle whoever for the title. But who would you really do that with, really, honestly? I mean, who would there be for Dolph to feud with, really, on SmackDown? If they did go that route. Really, nobody.
Yeah.
Orton, maybe? I mean, that's really about the only one you really have.
Yeah.
Christian, if they actually put him on TV again.
This goes back to what we were talking about on Saturday, unfortunately. It's like the talents that they do have on the SmackDown roster, they put them on Raw, and then at times we see some of these wrestlers that get pulled from SmackDown, they go to Raw, they're basically in purgatory. You know, you want to see good things happen for them, but they're just stuck in that rock and a hard place, and then you go over on the SmackDown side, and they're just trying to always work with the best of what they got. You know, you bring up a good point. It's like, where's Christian? I mean, these are guys that definitely, Christian, Mark Henry, Wade Barrett, these are guys that definitely need to come back, and they need to be divided up between the two brands. Antonio Cesaro, I don't see him being a World Heavyweight Champion or a WWE Champion. I'd be surprised if he were to get that Intercontinental belt. But at this rate, if SmackDown is smart, WWE is smart, Cesaro needs to stay on SmackDown. If they do him the way that they're continuing to do him, he could definitely be a serious Impact player. He could definitely pose a threat to that title. He wouldn't get it, but he could pose a threat.
Yeah, see, he didn't really get the push that Del Rio and Sandow got, though. They both got little vignettes before they debuted, too. Yeah, like, you remember Del Rio's little stuff, and then even Sandow, I believe, had a few vignettes, too.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
I mean, when you see Sandow wrestle, is it just me, or do you see the genius?
Always.
I know, I'm thinking the cartwheel and everything. I'm like, man, that's the genius, I swear.
That's the man. That is the man. What do you think about that, by the way? What do you think about Triple H making Damian Sandow be his little pet project now? I mean, are you for that, or you kind of got in your back of your mind, I don't like exactly how things are going with Sin Cara or Triple H?
I don't dislike him Sin Cara, period, because he better pick somebody who's looking good. I mean, his last two big picks, really, which I know Sin Cara was like basically his pick. He wanted Sin Cara in the WE.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also another guy that rumors said that Vince, Triple H, and Shawn were all strongly behind Drew McIntyre, too, if you remember all that.
Yeah, I remember.
Look how far that went. I mean, Sandow is anyone. I mean, everyone can get behind Sandow right now because he's doing such great things right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting a reaction. No one's getting the Daniel Bryan reaction, but, man, I was watching that match last night, and I was thinking Sin Cara. I was like, wow, you can hear a pin drop. No one even cared he came out or nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not Rey Mysterio.
No. And you know what? It's sad that Miz had unintentionally injured Rey Mysterio, because I truly believe that WWE was on to something there when they had Sin Cara paired up with Rey Mysterio. You know, I know a lot of people, they love the idea of Sin Cara taking on Rey Mysterio, but I think in order to get to that point, I mean, that's definitely a WrestleMania match, but I think in order to get to that point, it would have made more sense to try to maybe see these two guys paired up, and I think they were at the beginning of something cool right there. That's could have been another team if handled right. They could have taken the tag division by storm, you know, especially where Ray is right now. What is he, like 38 years old, and he keeps having all those, you know, health problems? That would have been a nice slow pace for him, but, you know, Miz injured him. Now there's no telling when Rey Mysterio is coming back, you know, and honestly, SmackDown, you know, if you really think about it, it's like what I said on Saturday. SmackDown just really has not been the same for two main things. Hasn't been the same since Edge left, and it hasn't been the same since they pulled Ray from SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with, Del Rio as well, though, because Ray and Del Rio were basically holding SmackDown down by themselves. That was like almost 2 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And they were doing good, which I think the WWE, they jumped. You remember those two Sin Caras?
Yeah, Hunico, yeah.
Yeah, I think they just exposed that way too soon. I think they could even team those guys up. I mean, that could have been interesting. You have two Sin Caras as a tag team, as a tag division.
Yeah.
I think they just let that go, just like, okay. Because you knew, everyone's guessing, like, man, that's not the same guy. Mm-hmm. And it was just funny because you're like, wait a minute. So, I mean, that's one problem I had with the whole Sin Cara. I've never been a Sin Cara fan, really. Mm-hmm. All the moves I've seen him do, they kept hyping him up so much. Like, man, he's going to do moves you've never seen before and all that. I was like, I've seen Rey Mysterio do all these moves in the WWE before.
Well, I'll give Sin Cara the one move where he jumped over the ropes, but I guess he kind of messed himself up a few times, and Triple H and them said, you got to come up with a new way to get in the ring.
With that trampoline?
Yeah. I don't know how he used to do that. I don't know if he had on some Air Jordans or what, but that man was going. What was the other question you had, Dave?
And this whole Santino thing, that was really a question, but I mean, it's more like a comment, I guess. I mean, I'm just like getting kind of sick of it. I mean, because like, okay, you're a PG show, but you keep going there with like the sock or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of, that interview on Friday was just horrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, we really had to watch that?
Yeah.
And I don't like to bash WE or TNA, but this past Raw, I mean, just didn't really do anything for me. I wasn't intrigued in a lot of the matches. I mean, like Cena and Miz were so boring. And then the tag match was just really boring to me too.
Yeah. That's why we didn't even cut. That's why we didn't even cut through all that. It was just take the main pieces. Because normally any other time any other time we would go through the entire highlights of Raw, but I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, with this Raw from this past Monday, I mean, pretty much the only investments you really had in that, unfortunately, was a backstage little skit with Daniel Bryan and Kane. There was somewhat a little bit of intrigue in the CM Punk Jerry Lawler thing, even though we already knew how that was going to end up.
They knew it was going to be a cage match. I got to admit, they hid the cage really well because I didn't see it.
Yeah, I sure as heck did not. I was really surprised at how they pulled that off.
Yeah, I know. I was like, well, I didn't see the cage or nothing. Unless they had to cover it up or something.
Yeah.
But it's obvious they had that whole thing planned anyway. They knew the WWE Universe was going to pick a cage. I mean, come on. Like, they want to see a DQ match or a table match over a cage match.
Yeah.
And how often do you see a cage match on Raw?
What did you make of that whole? What did you make of that whole Triple H retirement thing?
He didn't say anything. And I mean, that's when he talked about 18 minutes. I just want to tweet that he talked for 18 minutes and he didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
But he had everyone's attention though. Everyone was watching and listening to what he was saying because it's Triple H. You want to know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
And I hope he was watching some of those old clips they were showing. Because that's what he needs to come back as, something like that. Maybe go out and beat up Paul Heyman or something, but do something.
Yeah.
I mean, to touch on those vignettes, I mean, just when Daniel Bryan, that's probably the highlight of the night when they said, Kane, why don't you tell us about your life and stuff like that. And Daniel Bryan just said, oh, this ought to be good. That would just have me busting up laughing.
Yeah.
That was really, to compare, if you sit there and compare Daniel Bryan's career to last year at this time, it is nowhere even a comparison. It's like two separate people.
Yeah.
I mean, to see how far they're behind him, and I mean, I'm really worried about what are they going to do with him at Night of Champions since there's supposed to be only title matches. I mean, that's going to looks like more vignettes at the pay-per-view.
Well, I tell you how they solved that, Dave, and we thank you for that call, by the way. I tell you how they solved that with the whole Daniel Bryan Kane thing. I'm against it, but I think in this case it would be a strong draw and it would be a nice experiment to see. I think for Night of Champions there should be a YouTube pre-show. Just have Daniel Bryan go at it with Kane. I think to date, if they do it right, they continue doing it the way that they're doing it right now, and the storyline doesn't have to conclude at the YouTube pre-show. They can just have those two guys kick it off just so we can see them wrestle, and they can just continue that program on the next night of WWE Raw. They could ride it into the next pay-per-view. Some people would probably frown upon that, but I would love to see those two guys do a pre-show match for Night of Champions. So let's see if maybe something like that can happen. If not, then maybe possibly for a YouTube pre-show, maybe we might see the Divas Championship basically in a dark match. I wouldn't be too surprised if we actually did get to see maybe 2-3 normal matches between all those championship belts. I just have this weirdest feeling that with regards to this Night of Champions, I think it's going to be a different one when we compare it to Night of Champions prior. I don't really see just every single match happening at this pay-per-view being for a title. You would like to think that every single match, that's all that it's going to be about. But for some reason, I just don't see that happening. I see them pulling in a couple of filler matches. So we'll see if I'm on the spot on that one. Dave, as always, we appreciate when you call into the show. Man, shout out to our boy from the 510 area code for calling to the show earlier. Sorry about the audio delay there problem that we had with the stream. I'm not really sure what that was about. We'll definitely look into that. Hopefully that won't happen again. We thank those of you that checked out the show in the chat room, called in. Definitely appreciate those of you that's going to be checking out the show on the downloads. Special shout out to our family on Stitcher and on YouTube. Shout out to our YouTube subscribers. We did a pretty good show tonight. I definitely thank those of you for tuning in to tonight's show. Let's go ahead and let's do this again this Thursday night, as we're going to be having a new Impact Showdown Radio. Get you guys caught up on the latest in TNA Impact Wrestling, and we'll get you caught up on the latest in wrestling-related news from TNA. That's going to do it, folks. I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to get the heck up out of here and upload this to YouTube. Till we hear from you guys this Thursday night for Impact Showdown Radio, I'm the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Y'all be safe and y'all be kind to one another. See you next time, folks. Y'all take care. Thank you.